What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and as the Lord of the Rings of Power, the Ring-a-ling-a-ding-dong gets closer, things are getting pretty interesting. I would say that some of the damage control that's coming out now has been predictable. We're just waiting now for like the full-scale counterswing against fans. What we're seeing a lot of the press or a lot of the interviews circling around was like, they're clearly hearing the criticisms and they're addressing them through like intermediaries. What we're missing yet, the next step, which is coming, I assure you, is having the actors, director or showrunner speak out directly against fans who are criticizing the show. And we're getting pretty darn close to it, to be honest with you. Lord of the Rings of Power actress says, quote, "Casting isn't tokenization. Amazon's diversity and inclusion quota says otherwise." Now remember, we covered an article the other day where the Lord of the Rings of Power said that an actress said her character was an activist, and that was a big deal to her because the showrunner let her be an activist in real life and be an activist in Lord of the Rings. This is the very definition of a self-insert, and exactly what you don't want to see in terms of modern mythology, or like mythological stories and all this stuff. You don't want modern day stuff in there. Lord of the Rings of Power actress Nazinin Boniadi, who plays the original character Bronwyn in the series, recently declared that the casting for the series isn't about tokenization. She spoke to Entertainment Weekly about the series, telling the outlet it was not stunt casting. She elaborated, "This isn't tokenization or a lot of the things that we're used to in past roles. Every person has been cast because they are the best people for the role. I don't believe you. Regardless of ethnicity and race." And I find that super empowering. I mean, imagine, I guess like you just take the work. If you're like, if you happen to be, well, really anything but a non-white male, and you see that like the casting says stuff like, "We're looking for a POC or a WOC or a whatever acronym," like, I don't blame you for taking the job, right? But it's gotta feel a little like, oh, okay, like I didn't really earn this because I didn't necessarily compete against everybody who was in the field. It'd be like in the sports ball in the NFL. Having in the Super Bowl and have the other team's starting quarterback get injured the week before this, or the day before the game. You know, you're not really getting their best effort. First, the claim does not pass the smell test. As YouTuber Just Some Guy pointed out back in February, Middle Earth is basically northwestern Europe, mostly England. The native people of those areas are, of course, all white. So all the races in Middle Earth would likely be white. We know that's true because Token described what they look like. They're all white. He further added, the actors can be non-white, and if they can pass as European, with or without makeup, they can play these characters. They just need to look the part, whatever that means, apparently. Yeah, so I guess, looking the part makes sense. Casting non-white actors in Middle Earth is like casting an actor in Black Panther movies. It makes no sense. A white actor, I assume they mean. White actors, yeah. So the idea that people can cast in the roles and the best one for them falls on its face. As Just Some Guy points out, you wouldn't cast a white man to play Black Panther. Not only does it fall on its face, but Amazon Studio published their own inclusion policy and playbook back in June, where they revealed they literally have racial quotas for their productions. Quote, "Each film or series with a creative team of 3 or more people in above-the-line roles, directors, writers, producers, should ideally include a minimum of 30% women, 30% members of an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. This aspirational goal will increase by 50%. Isn't that funny that you should have 50% of a minority group? Casting actors whose identity, gender identity, nationality, blah, 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 aligns with the character they will be playing. I'm assuming mean casting actors whose identity aligns with the character they're playing. So they don't hire straight people to play gay characters? I don't know how that works. aiming to include one character from each of the following categories in speaking roles, with a minimum of 50% to be women: LGBTQIA, person with a disability. 3, minimum 50% of these women. It's like, it's so crazy. It's like, it literally is a formula. And you can like, you can see it. It's so weird to see it actually written out. The third bullet point makes it very clear that Prime Video does indeed have a racial, gender, and orientation quotas. Not only does Amazon Studios detail these policies, but their inclusion documents are guided by Amazon Studios' DEI team, diversity, inclusion, equity, and inclusion, by the way. Ensure diverse representation, dismantle the long-standing barriers to success in the industry, and inspect our processes so we do not create or perpetuate inequities, and tell inclusive narratives to reach a globally diverse audience. I mean, look, you can have whatever diversity you want. Like, you know, but it's like, when you have a character that there is a show where there's established lore, you literally are race swapping. And look, I just wish they would stop pretending that's not what they're doing. Like, where are all the redheads, by the way? Where have all the redheads gone? You know, like, it's like you have all these things. Lord of the Rings stars hope Rings of Powercast don't pay attention to the pressure. I think they should pay attention to the pressure. You're taking on a beloved franchise from a beloved author. And also, by the way, you're also competing against Peter Jackson. So there's innumerable reasons why you should be paying attention, why you should be worried. You see stuff like this on the Steam forums. Rings of Power and toxic Tolkien fandom. I'm so sad seeing the Lord of the Rings Tolkien community now turning Tolkien into a toxic fandom. So many Tolkien fans are now showing their true colors. No. See, that's the thing. It's like the demand we let you into our space, make space untenable, ruin space, move into new space. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Tolkien fandom. It's these new fans, the NU fans, that come in and are like, oh, well, this show would be better, but it would be better if it was more diverse. Why? I don't know. I have a $150,000 college degree that told me that's what it should be. But there's really no science behind it, no data behind it. And we're already seeing a lot of these shows that are like outwardly progressive fail. Now, again, Batgirl is being used by some media to say that, oh, it's a, you know, we don't know how quote unquote woke it was or wasn't. We just know there's a female lead. Big deal. We know Batgirl is a female. That's not that crazy. But we just saw earlier, I reported on a Netflix director who complained, or a showrunner who complained that Netflix only advertised the show as basically LGBTQ vampires, and said that's why it failed. So, I mean, you have so many examples. Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the Silmarillion is for everyone, not just some people. Middle Earth is also for women, people of color, non-binary, blah, 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 blah. Again, so are hobbits bigoted towards normal-sized people? Do they have the right to be? You know, except the characters look nowhere how they should. I'm not talking about skin color. It's, again, if you were to do the same thing to like Black Panther or a traditionally black story and race swap them, people would lose their mind. Or if you were to take Amelia Earhart and have her played by a man, right? A historically known identity that is a woman, and had her played by a man, people would lose their mind. So they survive on like, on gaslighting you and browbeating you. Anti-Rings Power fans need a reality check. You are showing absolutely zero appreciation of the, look at this thread that this clown wrote. Zero appreciation of the fact that there are actually something substantial being done with the Legendarium, and that now more than ever people watch Lord of the Rings content isn't just that original trilogy. Huh? Nobody was asking for this show. No fans of Lord of the Rings. I rewatch the trilogy every single year, and I'm thankful for Peter Jackson and for him caring enough to do it the right way. You need to stop watching sensationalist YouTube channels that make their full-time job bashing Rings of Power. They don't care about token. They only care about you angrily clicking on their videos so they can make ad money. Well, I mean, I can make videos about anything. In fact, I make 5 to 7 a day. By the way, click that red subscribe button down below if you enjoy what you see. Look, you want to diversify a show, fine, but don't like pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. I know what you're doing. And the fact of the matter is, historically, when people present this as like an important thing, like at the forefront of what's important to them, the shows always suck and they always fail. Look at Batwoman, right? You know, when you are obsessed with DE&I and you forget that you need a good script and good characters and a good show, which almost always happens, the show sucks, and you're not doing these underrepresented groups any favors by putting them in trash that people hate. I hope you enjoyed this video, though, and we'll talk to you again real soon.